Okay, what I got here is my enclosure for my female subadult Chilobrachys guangxiensis, or Chinese fawn, I think is the common name of it because it's a little easier to pronounce than guangxiensis. But I won't lie, when I learned how to pronounce guangxiensis and could continue to pronounce guangxiensis, I felt pretty good about myself. It's not one of the simpler scientific names. So, and if I'm pronouncing it wrong, please don't tell me in the comments. Just let me have my moment and think that I'm pronouncing this ridiculously difficult, probably Mandarin or some type of Chinese name correctly. Just let me have my moment. Anyway, as you can see, these guys are very prolific webbers. They are also obligate burrowers. So if you set up an enclosure for one, you're going to want a lot of nice, moist substrate, not wet. You should be able to squeeze it and it should hold its shape, but water shouldn't drip out of it. When I set these enclosures up, I used a mixture of peat and topsoil with some vermiculite. I like the vermiculite because it helps retain some of the moisture. If you use it strategically, sometimes what I'll do is put layers more vermiculite toward the bottom of the enclosure. So when you add water, and when I add water, I don't spray. I have a bottle that I basically water it like you'd water plants. The water will trickle down and kind of go to the lower levels of the enclosure, which allows it to escape less quickly and evaporate less quickly and keep the relative humidity inside the enclosure up higher. They also need a nice big water dish. I'm actually going to be giving this one clean this one's water dish in a minute because you'll see they will sully it up. And speaking of webbing, although she's in the ground all the time, she comes out quite a bit to do some webbing. So you can see there she is right in there. She's a beautiful spider. Now I've heard it said that these guys are just your typical big brown spiders. They're so sleek. Again, it reminds me of the old Philippinus in their build with the slender lithe build, longer pill-shaped abdomens, and just a beautiful brown color that kind of a chocolate brown, deep brown that I really, really like. They're fairly quick growers. I picked this one up as about a 2.75 inch sex juvenile, and she's probably pushing, it's kind of hard to see, but you can't really see her in there. She's probably pushing about 4.5 inches or so. Now, something to be said about these husbandry requirements, as I've stated, you're going to want to keep them kind of moist, which can be difficult because they do like to web everything up, and the webbing's waterproof. So as you can see, I've already kind of poured some water in. This will eventually filter down the sides. So something to keep in mind that this is not one with the easier husbandry. A second thing, they are fast, really, really fast. This is a very fast-moving terrestrial species, so it's not something you want to play around with if you're not used to working with faster tarantulas. Also, it is an old world species, meaning that not only are they fast, but they pack a heck of a bite. So for folks that aren't really into old world species or ones with more difficult husbandry, or you're currently keeping some basic starter species or beginner species, probably want to shy away from this one. But for folks who want something a little more difficult, it's been a very hardy spider for me. A beautiful spider, and one of the things I hear about these guys is their pet holes. I think I've been very, very fortunate in that mine has been visible most of the time. If you give them a starter burrow that goes down the corner, right about there, of the enclosure, when you break it off, they will usually adapt to that starter burrow, meaning that you'll be able to see them at all times, and that's what I did with her last 2 enclosures. Originally, she was in a I think it was a 2-quart kind of jug, and then she quickly outgrew that one, so I put her into one of these type enclosures with some room to dig. She quickly outgrew that, and now she's in this one, and will probably stay this one for a while. I've heard these guys get to be 7 inches or so. If she hits the 7-inch mark, and we'll see, it'll probably be a ways off, then I will probably upgrade her to my larger enclosure, something that gives her plenty of room to dig, move around, perhaps one of these Ziploc ones, or one of these guys here, Sterlite. I think it's 27 quarts. I'd have to look it up and check in the comments. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a roach in and see if I can bring this girl out. Usually she'll come out and strike right away. So let's drop this little dude in. And it doesn't look like she's biting. Now, again, I would stick the tongs in there and move this guy around. Oh, here she comes. Here she comes. Hopefully she just goes for it and doesn't go at me because I'm currently standing. There she is. This just made my day. You can almost see a little bit of a blue. Holy mackerel. Actually didn't expect that. I actually have a Chilobrachys discalus species blue, which are obviously same genus. and they have a bluish hue to them. I have not noticed the blue on her, but I'm liking it. So very excited. I actually just got that because I've tried doing this before, and she's usually like, heck no, I've got the light right on her, and they don't like the light. But she agreed with us today and came out and gave us a little show. So Chilobrachys, again, I'm going to brag a little bit, guangxiensis. And again, if anybody is fluent in Chinese and knows I'm pronouncing it wrong, please don't post a comment. Just let me have my moment. Scientific names are so difficult sometimes to pronounce and find out how to pronounce. Temperatures, before I forget, as I'm chatting away, they would obviously do better on the warmer side. However, my temps, as in with all my videos, and one of the things I'm stressing, because people tend to go nuts and obsess over temperatures and humidity, I don't. Let me close this up just in case she tries to make a break, which I don't think she'll do. My temperatures usually are about 70 to 76 degrees. She's kept on a spot where it gets a little higher, so usually 72 to 76 in the wintertime, and then 75, 76 to 80 in the summertime. And she's grown fairly well. I'd say medium to fast growing spider. All right, if I forgot anything, I'll go ahead and add those little annoying blurbs on the side, those little notes. But I think I'm covered. Once again, Chilobrachys guangxiensis. Wonderful little spider, not a beginner tea, but good for people who don't mind a spider they might not see as often or have some experience with the faster old worlds.